Erstmal herzlichen Glückwunsch. Klasse, dass es geklappt hat. Klasse, dass du hier bist, dass du so viele Leute hierher gelotst hast und dass wir diesen Streifen sehen konnten. Wie bist du überhaupt auf Marvels Agent Carter aufmerksam geworden?
Ja, also wir sind natürlich selber ganz begeistert. Auch toll, hier in dem Kino mit so vielen begeisterten Fans zu sein und Freunden. Und natürlich ist die Marvel-Welt sowieso eine ganz, ganz große Unterhaltung, ganz großes Kino. Und die Kinofilme Avenger 1 und Avenger 2 haben hoffentlich, oder viele wahrscheinlich auch gesehen, sind auch begeistert. Läuft ja seit Donnerstag hier. Wer hat Avenger 2 schon gesehen?
Natürlich,
schon ganz viele. Also als wir gehört haben, jetzt gibt es auch einen Spin-off von Agent Carter als TV-Serie, da wussten wir sofort, das ist was für uns. Und dann haben wir zugegriffen.
Wie sieht denn so ein Zugriff aus? Also ich meine, es ist, glaube ich, gar nicht so leicht, eine Serie einfach mal so ins Fernsehen zu kriegen. Man leiht ja nicht einfach mal eine DVD aus, denke ich mir.
Ja, also wir haben ja einen sehr guten Draht schon lange und historisch zu unserem Partner Disney. Vielen Dank nochmal an Disney und sind auch, glaube ich, ganz gute Kunden von Disney und wussten sehr früh, dass es eben diese Serie gibt und haben unsere Fühler ausgestreckt. Und dann heißt das natürlich noch lange nicht, dass man die Serie dann unbedingt bekommt, aber wir haben ja auch einen tollen Sender für die Serie. Und das ist ja zum Glück Disney auch nicht egal. Das heißt, Sie wissen, bei SyFy ist die Serie passt bestens zum Sender und wird auch gehegt und gepflegt. Und wir machen natürlich auch liebend gerne Promotion für die Serie. Und dann ist es natürlich am Ende auch ein bisschen eine Frage des Geldes. Und also man muss auch Glück haben, es ist nicht immer so einfach, weil solche Serien wollen natürlich andere gerne auch haben. Aber ja, also wir haben es geschafft und sind
gut verhandelt.
Gut verhandelt.
Jetzt haben wir die erste Folge schon gesehen. Hast du den Rest aus deinem Tresor schon mal ausgeschlossen und schon mal reingeguckt?
Ja, ich bin natürlich auch gerade mittendrin. Ich habe gerade gesehen, ich würde ja so wahnsinnig gerne diese ganzen Kung-Fu-Sachen und 40er Jahre, möchte man ja auch am liebsten gleich mitmachen und diese Welt eintauchen. Also es bleibt auf jeden Fall spannend.
Klasse, also vielen herzlichen Dank, dass du Agent Carter nach Deutschland geholt hast. Und es gibt noch einen Kooperationspartner von SyFy, und zwar Kabel Deutschland. Und bei Kabel Deutschland würden wir auch uns ganz gerne bedanken, ganz besonders bei Marco Gasten, dem Konzernsprecher von Kabel Deutschland. Marco, hi, grüß dich. Sag mal, am 27. Mai ab 21 Uhr kann man Agent Carter endlich sehen auf SyFy. Und diese Partnerschaft zwischen Kabel Deutschland und SyFy, das ist ja eine ganz besondere, ne?
Ja, vor allem ist es auch schon eine sehr lange Partnerschaft. Wir haben vor jetzt über 11 Jahren unser eigenes Pay TV Angebot aus der Taufe gehoben und SyFy war ein Partner der ersten Stunde. Also wir haben zusammen mit SyFy angefangen und das hat sich sehr gut angelaufen und wir haben jetzt auch schon viele schöne Produktionen von SyFy bei uns laufen gehabt und wir freuen uns auf neue und wir freuen uns natürlich erstmal jetzt auf die aktuelle Produktion.
Wie gefällt dir Agent Carter?
Mir gefällt es sehr gut. Ich liebe dieses alte Design. Ich finde die Ausstattung genial. Mir gefällt aber auch, dass endlich mal eine Frau die Hauptrolle spielt in einem Agentenmilieu. Das ist ja auch nicht so gängig. Und ich bin gespannt, wie es weitergeht.
Und das ist ja wirklich eine richtig aufwendige Produktion, ne? Wir sitzen hier nicht umsonst im Kino. Die erste Episode und alle weiteren 7 Episoden sind ja eigentlich schon wie ein richtiger Kinofilm. Du bist ein richtiger Experte, was Film, was Serien angeht. Wie bewertest du denn diese Rolle, die jetzt eine Serie einnimmt im Fernsehen, im Vergleich mit einem Film?
Es hat sich schon sehr viel getan. Also vor 8 oder 10 Jahren hat man doch mehr über Kinofilme diskutiert, über große Blockbuster. Und die Serien haben extrem aufgeholt. Die Serien sind sehr teuer produziert, sehr aufwendig, mit tollen Schauspielern. Kevin Spacey macht jetzt auch Serie, früher nur Film, nur Kino. Und wir sehen das auch bei uns in unserem eigenen Angebot, Select Video. Wir haben da ein Abrufangebot. Und rund 50% der Abrufe machen jetzt schon Serien aus. Das war früher anders. Und wir freuen uns natürlich jetzt auch auf die neue Serie und sind sehr gespannt, wie unsere Kunden und auch die Fans die Serien annehmen werden. Und wir werden sicherlich bald berichten können, wie die Serie dann funktioniert und bei uns auch von den Kunden angenommen wird.
Klasse, also ich glaube, bei Agent Carter muss man sich da keine Sorgen machen. Und dafür sorgt natürlich eine Frau ganz besonders, die Hauptdarstellerin Peggy Carter alias Hayley Atwell. Und Hayley ist immer noch bei uns, glaube ich.
Kommt gleich, wenn die beiden von der Bühne gehen.
Sie kommt gleich. Also gut, ihr müsst Platz machen, das tut mir leid. Ich schicke euch nur ungern runter, aber es ist ja nicht weit.
Dankeschön.
Vielen Dank, dass ihr es geschafft habt, Agent Carter zu uns zu bringen. Und das tatsächlich im sprichwörtlichen Sinne. Hier ist Agent Carter, hier ist Hayley Atwell. Also sie ist hier im Gebäude, glaube ich. Da ist sie auch schon. Hey, welcome back. Also jetzt nochmal schnell für euch die Gelegenheit, euch eine Frage zu überlegen, die ihr Hayley direkt stellen könnt. Wenn ihr euch nicht traut, sie selbst zu sprechen in ein Mikrofon von uns, dann könnt ihr uns auch gerne auf Twitter die Frage schicken, @syfy.de, #agentcarter.de. Hey! Hey! Did you have a chance to look at the screen?
I had, yes, they've done a fantastic job. I didn't sound like me at all. It was very impressive.
Did you like your German voice?
I loved my German voice. Yeah, I actually, a couple of years ago, met someone who had dubbed me in German, who was fantastic. And she was like, thank you for my career, because I dub you. So that's what she does. So it's just lovely to hear it, and it makes it much more worldwide and more accessible.
I bet, and I think it's a really great honor to be your voice in German. But how about the original role? What do you like best about Peggy Carter?
As the series progresses, we see Peggy being very strong, capable, resourceful, but we also learn about her vulnerability and her humour, and I think that becomes a lot more interesting. So she's not just aggressive or strong, she's someone who is much more relatable and three-dimensional. So that was much more fun to kind of get my teeth into as an actor, because it's not just kind of you know, a kind of one written piece of dialogue or a characteristic. It's just someone who has many things to say and different ways of saying them.
Also die Rolle der Peggy Carter ist vieldimensional. Es ist keine Standardrolle, sondern eine wirklich besondere Rolle, zu der es auch schon Zuschauerfragen gab. Auf Twitter habe ich gerade gesehen, hat schon jemand gefragt, warum braucht sie eigentlich keine Superkräfte? Why is it that Peggy Carter doesn't need any superpowers?
Well, I think that's kind of part of her appeal, is that she's just a woman who makes best use of what she finds around her. So I don't know if we saw it in this episode, but she uses a stapler at one point. She uses lipstick, she uses the heel of her shoe, and I think what makes her that much more appealing is because she doesn't have any superpowers, so she just has to rely on the skills that she has around her. And you'll see later on in the series a lot of the fight scenes are not slick, there's no backflips or splits. She's just very dirty with it. So she uses what she can, and which is great for me because I don't have any personal powerful skills either, so it was much easier for me to play her.
So there are quite some parallels to the actual Hayley Atwell.
Oh, I wish, no. She's someone that has courage and someone who has a very clear voice, so she stands up for what she believes in. And I think despite the kind of adversities that she faces, she manages to have a very strong sense of what is right and wrong. And when I would get kind of tired on set or bored, I'd think about what she would do, and it would make me a better person to try and keep on, you know, going forward and doing the best scenes that I possibly could, and to do her justice.
So what does Peggy Carter do when she's bored?
I did this thing on Twitter, and it was called, I don't know if you can understand the translation, but it's called Conked Out Carter, and it was me dressed as Peggy falling asleep in various areas of the set. So it was under tables, in the curtain rail, over a popcorn machine, and it was just kind of me just being so exhausted from being up at 4 o'clock in the morning that I would just find a little place to nap. Yeah.
Also das ist was man vielleicht sich mal angucken könnte. Peggy Carter in verschiedenen Rollen schlafend rund das Set. So that was one way that you used to prepare for your role, but how do you get into that role? It's in the 40s, it's a time of kind of sexism and people wear strange clothes. How did you get into that role?
Well, considering I played her first in Avengers, in the first Captain America, the first Avenger, it gave me an insight into a little bit about her time and her place. But I read a book about female wartime spies and how they used their femininity to be kind of what we call honey traps, and to have to be seen as passive women who kind of sit back, but in fact they were active listening. So she was capable of using her femininity and her female skills to be able to get information. So I use that, and then I think it's a lot about the physicality of her, the stunt sequences, being in heels and a skirt, and having to learn how to breathe and walk and certain posture, which helped me kind of get into the role.
that are probably my most favorite scenes when you beat up the bad guys. So, do you have a particular favorite scene?
Yes, there's a scene. I think it might be in episode 5, and it's in a diner.
Spoiler alert, maybe.
Spoiler alert.
Whoever does not want to know what she's going to say, maybe.
She fights in this episode a lot, and she fights in a diner sequence. And I don't know if you're familiar with Nicki Minaj. But I had this song of Nicki Minaj in my head, so I spent the whole diner fight sequence singing to myself, and of course it's not very 1940s, but anything to kind of keep you going. So that I think is my favorite sequence.
Also darauf darf man gespannt sein, in Episode 3 ungefähr sagt sie ihre absolute Lieblingsszene. Und wie ist es mit den Stunts? Die hast du selber gemacht. Did you do the stunts yourself?
I did all the stunts myself, yeah. I felt like I would be cheating if I only did the dialogue, so I was very, very clear with the producers that I would at least try to do my own stunts, but unfortunately, the first day I kicked a stuntman in this area very hard, and then I ended up kicking the stuntman about 6 times in the balls, and then I managed.
Is he alive?
He's barely alive. I mean, his voice is a lot higher than it was, and he doesn't like me very much, but that's okay. And then I had managed to hit someone over the back. He was a member of the crew, and I hit him with a lead pipe by accident. And then I kicked a chair into the assistant director. So I wasn't the most elegant fighter. I was quite clumsy, but that was all part of the fun and part of the learning.
Yeah, but my biggest respect. I think it's not very easy to do all the stunts yourself, and maybe there are lots of actors who say, "Oh no, let's someone else do that." Jetzt wäre eine super Gelegenheit für euch Fragen zu stellen. Es gibt bestimmt einige, die da nochmal eine Fachfrage hätten. Hier vorne ist schon eine. Da hinten sehe ich 2, 3 Hände. Vielleicht können wir das Mikrofon kurz umreichen oder ihr brüllt einfach, du bist in der 2. Reihe, du kannst das laut genug sagen. Ich wiederhole das nochmal. Was ist deine Frage? Also erste Frage, wie verändert sich die Rolle der Peggy Carter von den Filmen jetzt zur Serie? Und zweite Frage, welcher männliche Hauptdarsteller wäre dann vielleicht interessant?
Angie.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I wasn't worried because I had quite a lot of say in the writers' room with the producers, and my main thing was wanting to show her warmth, her vulnerability, and her humour, as well as her being strong and aggressive, because I think that was much more interesting. So I was just lucky enough to work with them for quite a long time. So I wasn't scared initially. They took a lot of my thoughts on board, and you see later on in the series my relationship with Jarvis becomes much more fun, and we would improvise a lot of the lines and the scenes together. And in fact, the line, you know, when you see Howard turns up in his car and he says, "Do you miss me?" That was my suggestion. So they took on a lot of kind of suggestions that I had, which meant that I felt safe in Peggy. I didn't feel like I was just being told what to say and what to wear and how to move. Then, I mean, in terms of a love interest, there's been a lot of people, especially on social media, who would love Angie to be the love of Peggy's life. And there are not many people that can follow in the footsteps of Captain America, so it's either going to be Susie or Angie. I'm happy for both. Why not? She's a modern day woman. She's very relatable. Who knows? Thank you.
Weitere Fragen. Wollen wir mal vorne weitermachen und dann können wir in der Zwischenzeit das Mikrofon nach hinten bekommen? Bitte.
I think so, but I think because Peggy's still grieving Captain America, she doesn't want to move too quickly into a new romantic interest. But I think certainly not Agent Thompson, absolutely not. Not Howard Stark, she wouldn't go anywhere near him. But I think Suze was probably the fairest game, yeah.
So, hier vorne sind noch Fragen. Wo ist denn das Mikrofon in der Zwischenzeit? Einfach laut verrufen, alles klar, dann machen wir das so.
It's just a lot of practice. I mean, we have two stunt coordinators, a married couple, in fact, and they met when they were. He was a stunt coordinator for Tom Cruise, and she was a stunt coordinator for Cameron Diaz, and then they fell in love and got married, and now they work together as a team, and they're awesome. So they together would create these dance sequences, and then I would have maybe a day or two to prepare each fight sequence. But I would suppose the most challenging one was the first one, which is when you see her with the green suit in the apartment, just because it was the first time I was in costume, the first time I was in that space, and it took about 2.5 days of rehearsals of speeding it up, slowing it down, making sure I had all the choreographed movements. Then I would do the fight with a stunt coordinator, then I would do it with the actor. And that was the great thing, is that because it's film, unlike the theatre, you just have plenty of opportunity to get it right. But I think because I was kind of nervous of doing it well for the first time, that was the most challenging. And I just, I imagined someone I didn't like from my past who had done me wrong and took out all my aggression thinking of him. Thank you.
Großartig. Weitere Fragen? Wollen wir mal hier weitermachen?
Peggy's British, as she was in the first film, and that's very important. And I think and it hasn't been official yet, but if we do a season 2, then one of the things I would like to explore is a bit about her background, because I think that'd be quite interesting to find out where she comes from, who it was that helped create this quite extraordinary woman in this male-dominated world. But being British is very much part of her character, that reserve, the wit and the dry sense of humour, which is something certainly a lot more European than it is American, yeah. And that was important to the characterization.
Großartig. Ich glaube, wir nehmen mal noch eine Twitter-Frage zwischendurch ran. Wir machen das höchst professionell. Ich bekomme die hier direkt auf mein Handy. Und zwar, there finally is a strong female superhero. Why doesn't Peggy Carter need any superpowers to kick ass? I think we already answered that. How about this one? What do you like most about acting? Sis41 is asking.
Well, since I was a little girl, I thought that there was an incredibly powerful aspect of storytelling which united people in quite a sacred way, to which many people would go to a church or to believe into a kind of religion. But I felt that storytelling was part of the human experience, and so as a young girl I would go to the theatre a lot, and my mum would take me backstage and meet the actors and thank them for performing something that cost them emotionally to be able to go to certain places that we, the audience, didn't necessarily feel courageous or brave enough to go to. And so I felt that it was quite a humble and a noble profession of storytelling, and there was an aspect of, kind of a spiritual aspect to it, I suppose. Not to say that this has any kind of spiritual or political or deep, meaningful message, but I think that's why I got into acting in the first place. And then on the surface level, the opportunity to meet people that I wouldn't necessarily get to meet in any walk of life, and to travel, and just hope that it opens my mind into understanding that every person on the planet has a story and everyone has the right to be heard.
And you're traveling, obviously you're here in Munich right now, and tomorrow you have some plans for trying some German tradition, Bavarian traditions?
Yeah, some German sausage, lovely. Can't wait. I'm very much looking forward to that.
You're here with your boyfriend, just to
yeah. And some beer. I'm looking forward to some German beer. Yes, so that would be very exciting. Yeah.
Okay, gibt es noch Fragen hier im Raum? Da hinten, ihr wolltet schon vorhin, genau, machen wir mal in der Mitte, jawohl.
So we all know you don't have any superpowers, but you still kick ass. But if there was any superpower you would want to have, which one would it be and why?
Also welche Superkraft hätte sie gerne, wenn sie sich eine aussuchen dürfte?
I'm going to say something kind of quite ridiculous here, but it would be, and this is very personally speaking, the ability to eat whatever I wanted without consequence.
Thank you.
I have to go to the gym like 4 times a week. It's really boring, but I'm a big fan of food. So I would say to be able to eat whatever I wanted without getting tired, without getting sluggish, without getting bloated, and I would be able to eat and drink to my heart's content, and I'd be very happy.
You should be able to try Weißwurst tomorrow.
Yes,
I guess,
yes.
yeah. Alright, great. Letzte Frage da hinten. Du hast dich schon ganz von Anfang an gemeldet und jetzt darfst du noch was sagen.
I have a question. So, you know, Mr. Carter is now in a spotlight, and can you see yourself in the role? Like, can you see yourself, because you said she's brave, because you stand up for her own opinion. So, are you also like that, or are you like, no, I'm gonna have like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think she certainly taught me to be a little bit more like her, and it's kind of important that because she has become a positive role model, especially for young boys and girls, that there is a level of responsibility that comes with that, to feel I can't be too hypocritical in advocating being an outspoken person that uses their integrity and their skill set and their resourcefulness to get where they need to in life. I wouldn't want to kind of contradict that by not necessarily being that and emulating that in my own life. And I think it's a real privilege. It's not something that I ever thought that would happen, that I would be playing a character like this, because I also believe that the art of storytelling should be to play characters that the audience feels uncomfortable about. So to play the bad guys and the evil ones as well, that has their place just as much as the good guys. But there is something very moving actually about the impact that someone like Peggy has had on people. I was recently in Dubai, and I met this beautiful woman with, she was wearing a burqa, and she just said, can you write down on my autograph, women can be heroes too? And I thought that was such a powerful sentiment that she had, that it made me feel very, very honoured to have this experience, and certainly feel like I'd like to live up to Peggy's values. Yeah.
I think you certainly do. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Vielen Dank, dass ihr alle da seid. Ich wünsche euch jetzt noch einen tollen Abend. Nehmt noch was für den Popcorn mit. Draußen gibt es noch Giveaways. Wir freuen uns super, wenn ihr Fotos, twittert, postet. Denkt an den Hashtag agentcarter.de, damit ihr alle auch noch sehen könnt, was eure Freunde gepostet habt. Und nicht vergessen, 27. Mai, 21 Uhr auf SyFy. Ich wünsche euch noch einen schönen Abend. Macht's gut.